The first episode in from 1963 is quite good, but then it went travels in time and jumped the shark.
Oh, goes downhill so fast, doesn't it? One good idea, and they run out, and they get 60 years out of it. God's sake.
Yes. This YouTube channel isn't sponsored by anyone, although we're willing to take donations from everyone. Maybe not the Tory Party, but almost everyone.
But particularly Iron Brew.
Sadly, I don't have any Iron Brew with me today. You can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and the blog, which there'll be a link to in the description below. You can follow John here at the Yarn nearly everywhere.
Yeah.
I suggested controversial cliffhangers, and of course, me being me and all thinking in lists. But what about a list of cliffhangers? And my colleague Mr. Arnold here, being far sharper and quicker to the mind, went no.
On that day, anyway.
What would make it would be what makes a good cliffhanger? And I thought, well, what makes a bad cliffhanger? Why are some cliffhangers strange on paper but really work on screen? Why do some look amazing when you see it written down but don't work on screen? What are the good, the bad, and the ugly? What didn't happen? What should have happened? Where did the editing go wrong? And where did everything just go so brilliantly to the point where you punch the air and go, that's Doctor Who, brilliant. And to discuss this with me, I've got Mr. John Arnold. How you doing? You ever heard of Doctor Who then?
I've seen the odd episode here and there.
Yeah, I think it was on TV once. I suppose the first thing to come to mind, John, is when you think of the phrase Doctor Who cliffhanger, what comes to mind?
Well, I should point out that Doctor Who is essentially with us because of cliffhangers. Because two in particular, and they're both very early on. One, An Earthly Child, which is entirely leading up to, oh my God, they've travelled in time. What's going on? And then, obviously, the first episode of the Daleks, the dead planet, Jackie Hill, sink plunger coming towards her, screaming. And lo and behold, that's when the legend is pretty much born. So I would say my Doctor Who cliffhanger image is the Terry Nation classic. End of part one, monster coming towards them on camera. Oh my God, what's going to happen?
They always work best when the monster appears at the end. It's a natural progression rather than because it's been held back for 20 minutes to create a cliffhanger.
Yes, Terry Nation quite a cynical writer like that. It also helps if you haven't got the name of the monster in the title, Terry.
It worked well in, obviously, the Daleks. Part one is the reason the show still exists, to be blunt. And it also worked really well in the Dalek Invasion of Earth because they take you round the destroyed London, and you're slowly introduced to how everything is, and then there's a Dalek. But by the time of Planet the Spiders, they're basically John Pertwee walks on the spot for 25 minutes and only shocked there's a Dalek on the planet when he asked to be sent to the planet with Daleks on it.
Yeah, oh my God, it's an invisible Dalek. Actually, I should say I have right here an invisible Dalek toy.
Oh.
See, I don't just throw this together. Yeah, I think that kind of thing with Nation, it's an artifact of Doctor Who's serial thing, because the Dalek Invasion of Earth, I think, is it World's End, the first episode? I think somewhere in it. It's the great. It's great if you know they're coming back because it's 25 minutes of anticipation, and then it's whoa, it's come back. And if in those days it wasn't so easy to get hold of information as to what was coming next, so you might only see the title of the next episode which doesn't mention the Daleks at all. So at that point, you go, "Whoa, it's the Daleks!" So I think that surprise can work in the 60s, particularly when you didn't have the overarching titles that we know the stories by now.
Mm-hmm.
But you get to Planet of the Daleks, Death of the Daleks, you get to Genesis Daleks, which is slightly different, I agree. It doesn't work, Terry. You need to change, you need to update your software, so to speak.
The way you speak there, you could almost say that the best Dalek cliffhanger comes in a story that isn't even about the Daleks, which is the one at the end of the Space Museum, when they're leaving and suddenly you see the Daleks have got a time travel machine and they're after them.
Again, that's underrated with the Hartnell series. I know the stories don't all flow into each other, but a lot of them, they do flow into each other. They leave you that cliffhanger next week, with the rescue, the TARDIS falling off a cliff. It's obviously rooted in that kind of 40s King of the Rocket Men, Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, the RKO serial stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where Terry Nation is perfect, because he grew up, I think it's in Orwin Turner's biography of him, he grew up watching that kind of thing in the cinema. He sneaked off school to do it. There's the infamous Trivial Pursuit question, who created Doctor Who, that Sidney Newman was very much not happy with. There is a case to say that Terry Nation did sort of create Doctor Who as we know it with his pop sci-fi ideas. And the cliffhanger therefore becomes even more important if you're going down that pop sci-fi route.
I know someone else who was very annoyed about that question answer, and that was me, age 10.
Yes.
I think of the cliffhanger being essentially what Terry Nation brought in, because if you look at On an Earthly Child, apart from the obvious first one, the cliffhangers are more of the sort of dramatic. They're dramatic breaks in the act, like what will happen next. Whereas in Terry Nation's writing for the Daleks, the cliffhangers become far more sort of the perils of Penelope type thing of how will they get out of this one? Tune in same time next week.
Yeah, it's artificial drama, isn't it? It's just heightened artificial drama. I need to get a cliffhanger. There it is. It'll be resolved in 2 minutes next week. Off we go again.
Artificial drama, isn't it great?
It's effective. It might be cheap, but it's effective.
Everyone loves half the cliffhangers in Caves of Androsani. One's a cheat, and one gets solved within about 10 seconds of part 4 showing up. And that doesn't stop everyone loving them.
Oh yeah, but yeah, and then you're not mentioning the magma creature there.
No, strangely, the magma creature doesn't quite have the same fan acclaim as the Doctor getting shot dead, and I'm not going to let you stop me now for some reason.
Yeah, but it's a kind of cliffhanger in the Bond series that Russell T Davies does really well. It's like, Rose, I'm coming to get you. That kind of heightened. Got to come back, or even the ultimate example, of course, is the Stolen Earth cliffhanger, which everyone's going, what the hell? And it, again, a brilliant thing there was obviously the next story is called The Next Doctor.
Yes.
So, Russell was trolling with the title of the story as well. Brilliant work.
I mean, of course, there is a whole subgenre of the dramatic cliffhangers, all the reveals, the plot twist, the master is someone in disguise. I was trying to think of what makes a good cliffhanger or a bad cliffhanger. I was taking some notes down, and I have a long list of good cliffhangers, aided by our friends in the Liverpool and Crisis thread, the guys and gals, and a shorter list of bad, ugly, didn't happen, badly edited, and we can't judge it because it's missing. That's the saddest one of the lot.
That one's a tragedy.
Yes. Because there are a few cliffhangers which, from what we've got, I think, would probably be amazing, but we can't judge them properly because some idiot dumped the tape. Or if you've got them down the back of your sofa or in a TV station somewhere in the world, or your
Or if you're in
name's
a basement under an old Mormon church
yes,
somewhere.
or you're trying to sell them to Phil Morris, please do. I want to see Fury from the Deep Part 3 at some point.
Yes, I mean they work so the Fury works so well in animation with the cliffhangers. So
Yes.
particularly part 5, I think it is. Yeah.
Well, there's Fury Part 3 is the one where she just walked into the sea.
Yeah.
That's oh. But in Fury 5 is the one where Victor Modern's standing in the middle of the seaweed in the oil rig.
That's it.
They both sound amazing. They both look amazing. We've got Ellie snaps, we can see them. But we just don't have them. It's so frustrating. You can also say the same of get your bingo card out here. The Moonbase episode 3, which has got the Cybermen in besieging the Moonbase itself. It's apparently one of the great scenes, but it's gone. And they don't really cover it in the recap. And
And that, for all our friends out there, that is Michael's mandatory mention of the moon base in in every episode.
yes, because we can't. I don't think I can really call the second part one is one of the great cliffhangers, even if it scared me when I was like 8. Um, how impressively a Cyberman can hide under a bed sheet and then jump up and nearly knock a prop bed over. Terrifying. The other great lost one is possibly Faceless Ones Part 4, where they've spent 4 episodes trying to work out what's happening to all you kidnapped teenagers, and Jamie is got on on the plane, and the plane converts into a spaceship and goes up into space and meets a mothership, and I just want to see how they achieve that one because it sounds great, and the animation concept of how it looked really it's done really well. I'd just be curious to see how they managed it on a Jerry Davis and his Lloyd budget.
On 5 pence.
uh,
No, I was going to say Jerry Anderson probably had nothing on that really. I,
Anything can
the
happen in the next 30 minutes.
other thing that makes a good cliffhanger is that the last shot, or at least one of them, needs to be a memorable image. And by memorable image, I don't mean zoom in on Colin Baker's face 12 times out of 13 here.
Well, praise has to go to Howard Walker's TV companion because they described all the cliffhangers on it and they gave it a really good shot. So episode 1, the Doctor looks worried. Episode 2, the Doctor looks perplexed. Episode 3, the Doctor looks concerned.
You can see that the thesaurus got a work out there, didn't it?
And it's annoying because obviously there is one good trial cliffhanger.
Oh, the Vervoids.
But there should be 2 because later in Vervoid there's a bit where one of the characters realizes what's going on and he commandeers a ship and he's going to take it into a black hole so he can save humanity. You've got this whole concept that he's doing this, he's doing everyone, but he's going to save the planet Earth. And there's all this, and you've got this, they're going straight into the black hole. And that should be the end, but actually the end 10 seconds later with a big close up of Colin Baker looking concerned.
I know it's not really a cliffhanger. There's on the recent season 22 box set, they've got the re-edited version of Vengeance on Varos on there. And obviously, the one thing about Varos, I'm not a huge fan of the story, but the episode endings are both terrific. Obviously, and cut it now, and then what do we do now? Don't know. And then the re-edited version sticks a TARDIS scene on the end of that last bit, and it kills it. It's you appreciate the skill of a good editor at that point.
My issue with the Varos cliffhanger is that it's got a perfect edited ending, but they don't edit the ending at that point. So you see the Doctor die, you should go and cut it now, doobly-doo, doobly-doo. But actually go and cut it now. Stays on screen, still laughs, then it cuts. That harms the presentation for me.
Yeah, it's just that little half second afterwards that just I agree.
That's a recurring theme through poor old Colin Baker's era, that they just had a better editor.
Or director, generally, I think.
He's got the someone's coming towards me. Oh wait, it's Jamie.
Shock eye looming over Perry, wasn't it? And then statue collapsing on me. Oh no. A polystyrene statue, quite obviously.
He's got one in the long line of, let's face it, the Doctor's dead. As if that's a dramatic cliffhanger when you know that he's not dead, and in next episode he's in fact alive. Although he doesn't have the best of all of those, which is Warriors of the Deep, when the Doctor falls into a pool of water and 3 seconds later goes, "Oh, that's him dead."
Yeah, right, let's go.
Not even a human drowns that fast, Pearl. He does get the one genuinely good cliffhanger, which is in Trial of the Time Lords. So, is it? Vervoids Part 1.
No.
The person who doesn't like calling it, splitting them into 4, because on the screen it's just Trial Part 1 to 14. Mel is being given a tour of the ship, the Hyperion, and her poor tour guide touches an electrified fence, dies a horrible death, and while she's screaming, the pods start opening, everything is exploding, and that's just a great cliffhanger.
The famous story in this, which should be mentioned, is that Bonnie Langford was asked to scream in the key of the theme tune, so that scream melds perfectly into it, which is a fantastic bit of direction, and also a fantastic bit of technical screaming there.
Well, one of the great secrets of Doctor Who fandom is that Bonnie Langford's actually decent. I mean, she's a good actress, but I mean, in terms of being Mel, Mel is a good companion more than not.
The problem with Mel is that Bonnie Langford has absolutely nothing to work with. It's like, here you go, she looks like you, and she's quite nice, and that's it. It's actually, I know he's a computer programmer from Pease Pottage, but that's no good to anybody,
They brought in her I'll scream and scream and scream again from, is it the Just William?
That's it. I'll scream and scream again until I'm thick.
Yes. Naive enthusiasm dynamic really lifts up from the somewhat trudge of the previous 8 episodes.
Yeah, when it got to Time the Rani, I talked to Andrew Cartmel about this. I think the one time I've met him, and I said, it was such an improvement. He went, it's the energy, and I think again you've got Bonnie Langford again. She lifts that last couple of episodes, and of course those last that. As my good friend Jim Curry Smith points out, that episode, part 9 of Trial to the end of Time of the Rani, it's the Pip and Jane Baker era. It's basically Pip and Jane and John Nathan Turner running the show. So it's a mini era of its own there.
Perry and the Doctor were almost written as at odds with each other through no fault of the actors. And you had the long run Tegan era. And before that, you had Tom and Lava, as if somewhat frostiness would come on through the characters too. You could argue that Vervoids, with the Doctor and Mel getting on, it's the first time you've had a sort of happy to be with each other TARDIS crew in about 6 or 7 years of Doctor Who.
Possibly even back to Sarah Jane, because we've got Leela, who's again, that's slightly antagonistic, which I know is the actors feeding through, and again Every Thames Romana, same as the Lala to a certain degree. So yeah,
This is a bit of a breath of fresh air after so much drama, shall we say.
yes. I don't think you need to like characters particularly, but you need to be able to empathise with them. And you can empathise them, you can see why they travel together.
Although it's quite possible that cliffhanger actually saved everyone on board the Hyperion from a serial killer. Because the last words the character Edwards says always struck me as really weird. As he says, "We don't want you to break your neck, at least not until." And then he dies. And I'm like, when does he want her to break her neck?
Oh, yeah, we don't want.
So yes, the Vervoids, they wanted to destroy mankind, but they did save the day there, clearly. Although technically it wasn't the Vervoid, that was by Malcolm Kearney who set up the trap in the first place. Presumably.
Yes.
We ever actually find out who electrified that fence? I'm assuming it's Malcolm Kearney's villain.
Well, Honor Blackman might be a bit.
Mm.
She's a bit, Professor Lasky can
Yes.
have people interfering.
Oh, I do love the fact that Honor Blackman had never watched Doctor Who, was not a fan. She took the job because she had a free day, she had free time in her schedule. She never turned down a job. And she was asked about it. She said, if it gets me new fans who'll watch me in my other stuff, then it's worth it.
Perfect attitude. Never forget, however big you get, you're still essentially a jobbing actor.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who said about secret never turn down a job. Just always be working. Might be Michael Sheard, a thing. Anecdote that I heard. But yeah.
I mean, I've heard Harry Fowler attribute it to folk, but I think it might be one of these ones that many of our favourite character actors said over the years, and that's why they were never out of work. Michael Sheard never turned down a Doctor Who. He's in what, 8 of them? 6?
Six, I think. We looked this up the other day.
Yes.
Is it only 6, really?
Yeah, he was in one. Peter Halliday was in a few. I was more shocked that Nick Courtney's not in 100 odd, but apparently he's in far more of the Pertwee era in my mind than he is in reality.
It's weird because you get, obviously the idea of the Pertwee era is it's Earth based, but then you get to that middle season, and all of a sudden they start going, we don't want to be on Earth that much anymore.
Yes. Having inherited the position they didn't want, they got rid of it as fast as they could.
Yeah, and you go, what's it, season, the 10th season, you've got 3 Doctors opening it and the Green Death closing, and in between, nothing.
I'm going to put in an obligatory cliffhanger for the hell of it and end this and take the opportunity to find a fucking pencil so I can scrub out the ones we've mentioned.
Will Michael find a pencil in time?
So
join us next time.